I'd like to share a little bit about a few books that have had a subjective impact on my life, and then one book that has had a very objective impact. So the first three are going to be fiction, the fourth is going to be nonfiction. And these I read for the first time at very different places in my life. So the first is Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. This is the first longer fiction book that I can remember picking up on my own, reading on my own, and I had a very independent experience with it. It was very positive for me, and it really enabled me to feel like I had the taste-making ability to judge books in a bookstore, pick the ones that I would get the most out of, or that were the most advanced for me. It helped me map out what I wanted to read next, and by extension, it kind of helped me figure out what I wanted to do next. The older characters in Harry Potter, I think, are the most impactful when you're reading the series as a kid. So for me, for instance, Fred and George Weasley were huge. Every scene that they were in, I loved. They're in this book quite a bit, and so I think that also added to the memories that I have of that book. The next is All the Pretty Horses, which was at the time the most beautiful book that I had ever read, and I think it still ranks up there for me personally in the top few books that I've ever read in my life. This is a very dark, very beautiful book that also really challenged what I thought of as a coming of age story. This is a dark coming of age story. This isn't like Harry Potter. The main character's parents have just gone through a divorce, and he is navigating the world on his own. He crosses from the United States into Mexico on horseback with a cousin of his and has near-death experiences. He also has his first kind of taste of love, but it's very clear at the end of this book, which is the first in a trilogy, that he's going to have a long and difficult life. Something about that really spoke to me when I was a first year in college, about 19 years old, and really trying to figure out who I wanted to be. Tree of Smoke by Dennis Johnson was a book that taught me to have fun again. This was the first long book that I read after graduating from college. I think I read it like right after I graduated. This is about 650 pages, pushing 700. It's the first book that of this length especially, that I've ever read, known that I was going to reread soon, and followed up on that. So I read it twice within about 3 months. The prose is so good and so alive and fun, even though it's a long drama, that it really had me hooked. It really had me thinking about life in a different way. And as promised, this fourth book is a bit objective. It's pretty popular. It's called Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. I picked it up because I heard him on several podcasts. I was really moved by the things that he had to say. And so I bought the book and I read it, and it got me running really seriously again. I've talked to a bunch of different guys who have had pretty similar experiences being exposed to David Goggins. And in the couple of months after reading this book, I ran about 160 miles. I ran myself to the point of injury almost, and I think that's probably a knock that people have on the mentality that he espouses, but I can't say enough about the impact that his words have had on my life in the past couple of years. His mentality was one that I had not been exposed to very much in the past, and he really got me thinking about the potential that I had and that people have in general. So that's 4 books, 3 fiction, 1 nonfiction that I've read at different points in my life that have had an impact on me. I hope I didn't give too much away about them, but I would recommend each and every one of them. Regardless of age, I think all of them would have a pretty clear impact on anyone's life, except for maybe Harry Potter. I think that's one that you can outgrow to some extent, and it won't hit as hard as if you're younger, reading it for the first time, and it's your first experience with a longer book.